The shuttle docked with a loud clang that echoed through the metal walls. Una Park grabbed her bag and stood up. Through the small window, she could see the massive space station floating against the backdrop of a purple gas giant. Station Omega 7, the most famous military academy in the entire galaxy. And she was about to walk into it as one of the first humans ever accepted. The doors opened with a hiss. Cold air rushed in, carrying strange smells that Una did not recognize. She stepped out onto the docking platform and looked around. Aliens of every shape and size moved past her. Some were tall and blue with forearms. Others were covered in scales. A few looked like giant insects with sharp mandibles. None of them looked at her. She was just another recruit to them. A voice boomed across the platform. New arrivals, follow the yellow line to Orientation Hall 7. Una followed the glowing yellow line on the floor. She walked through long corridors made of dark metal. Everything here was built for creatures much larger than humans. The ceilings were high. The steps were wide. She felt small, but she kept her back straight and her eyes forward. The orientation hall was already full when she arrived. Hundreds of recruits sat in rows of seats that adjusted to fit different body types. Una found an empty spot near the middle and sat down. The seat shifted under her, molding itself to her human shape. A massive creature stood at the front of the room. It had the body of a bear, but walked on two legs. Its fur was gray, and its eyes were small and black. Next to it stood a tall blue alien with four arms folded across its chest. But the one who stepped forward to speak was different. It was an insect. 7 feet tall with a hard black shell and mandibles that clicked when it talked. "I am Instructor Morath," the insect said. Its voice was sharp like breaking glass. "You are here because you think you are special. You are not. You are nothing. This academy will break you down and build you into something useful. Most of you will fail. Many of you will quit. Some of you will die." The room was silent. Una did not move. "The Pathfinder program is the elite of the elite," Morath continued. "Only the best warriors in the galaxy earn this title. To become a Pathfinder, you must complete training that most species cannot survive. We do not care where you come from. We do not care what your people have done. Here, you prove yourself or you go home in shame." Morath pressed a button and a hologram appeared in the air. It showed a map of the training facility. "Our courses are divided into tiers," Morath explained. "Green is standard. Any soldier should complete it. Yellow is challenging. It will test your limits. Orange is dangerous. Injuries are expected. Red is extreme. Only the top recruits attempt it." Morath paused. "And then there is black." The hologram zoomed in on a section marked with black lines. Warning symbols flashed around it. "The black tier course is rated lethal," Morath said. "It is used only for final qualification of the top 1%. In the last 12 cycles, no one has completed it. 73% of those who attempt it die." A murmur went through the crowd. Una leaned forward in her seat. "It is not a test," Morath continued. "It is a filter. It removes those who are not worthy of the Pathfinder name." When Morath finished explaining the other rules and schedules, it opened the floor for questions. Several aliens asked about equipment and housing. One asked about medical facilities. Then Una raised her hand. Morath's compound eyes turned toward her. "Yes, the human. When can I start training on the black course?" Una asked. The room went completely silent. Every head turned to look at her. The bear creature made a sound that might have been a laugh. The blue alien's forearms dropped to its sides in surprise. Morath's mandibles clicked rapidly. "I do not think you understood me, human. The black course is lethal. Your species only achieved faster than light travel 40 years ago. You have no military reputation in this galaxy. You are here as a test subject, not a warrior. I understood, Yuna said calmly. When can I start? You are joking, Morris said. I am not. Morris stared at her for a long moment. Then it made a harsh sound that passed for laughter among its kind. You will die in the yellow tier, human. Do not worry about black. The orientation ended shortly after. Recruits filed out of the hall, talking in their various languages. Many of them pointed at Yuna and made comments she could not understand. She did not care. A four-armed blue alien fell into step beside her. It wore the uniform of a commander. I am Commander Tavik, it said. I oversee the Pathfinder program. Yuna Park, she replied. I saw your file, Tavik said. Special Forces on Earth. Impressive for a human. But Instructor Morath is right. Your species is new to the galaxy. You have much to prove. Then I will prove it. Tavik studied her with eyes that glowed faintly purple. You are either very brave or very stupid. Perhaps both. Perhaps, Yuna agreed. They walked in silence until they reached a door marked with the number 7. These are your barracks, Tavik said. You will share them with a mixed species squad. Try not to cause problems. No promises, Yuna said. She pressed her hand to the panel and the door slid open. Inside, she found a common room with sleeping pods branching off from it. 3 aliens were already there. The bear creature from orientation. A blue Valosi female who looked at Yuna like she was examining a bug. And a thin reptilian alien with scales that shifted colors. Great, the Valosi female said. They gave us the human. Hello to you too, Yuna said. She dropped her bag by an empty pod. I am Yuna. We know who you are, the bear creature rumbled. Its voice was deep like thunder. The whole station knows. You asked to train on the black course. I did. You will die. Yuna smiled. Everyone keeps saying that. I am starting to think you want me to prove you wrong. She walked into her pod and closed the door. Behind her, she heard the aliens talking in low voices. She did not care what they said. She had not come across the galaxy to make friends. She had come to show them what humans could do. Tomorrow, training would begin. And Yuna Park was ready. The first week of training began before sunrise. Alarms screamed through the barracks at 4 in the morning. Yuna was already awake. She had been doing push-ups for 30 minutes, thought her squad mates stumbled out of their pods, looking tired and angry. The bear creature, whose name was Torgan, growled at the noise. The Veloci female, Reska, moved slowly like her body was not yet ready to function. Only the reptilian, who never spoke, seemed unbothered. How are you awake? Reska demanded, looking at Yuna. I wake up early, Yuna said simply. It is a habit. They gathered in the training yard with hundreds of other recruits. Instructor Morath stood on a raised platform, watching them with those compound eyes that saw everything. The cold air made Yuna's breath turn to mist, but she did not shiver. She had trained in worse conditions on Earth. Today you begin yellow tier exercises, Morath announced. These are designed to test your basic physical abilities. Anyone who cannot complete them has no place in this program. The first exercise was a climbing wall covered in holds that moved and shifted. Most aliens struggled with it. Their bodies were built for different things. The Veloci were smart but not strong. The Grothic, like Torgan, were powerful but slow. The insectoid species had hard shells that made them stiff. Yuna climbed to the top in 4 minutes. She was not the fastest. A few species with multiple limbs beat her. But when she reached the top, she was not breathing hard. Her heart rate was steady. She climbed back down and waited. A human male walked up beside her. He was tall with a calm face and steady eyes. You must be Yuna, he said. I am Do-Wan Kim, combat medic. Another human, Yuna said. I thought I was the only one. There are 3 of us in the program, Do-Wan said. The third one dropped out yesterday. Could not handle the pressure. Weak, Yuna said. Perhaps. Or perhaps smart. Dawan smiled slightly. We shall see. The exercises continued through the morning. Running, jumping, carrying heavy weights across rough ground, swimming through tanks of cold water. Each one was hard, but Yuna kept going. She did not stop to rest. She did not complain. She just moved from one task to the next dock. By noon, many recruits had fallen behind. Some sat on the ground, unable to continue. Others had been taken to medical facilities. Instructor Morath watched it all with what might have been satisfaction. Reska caught up to Yuna during a break. The Veloci was breathing hard, and her blue skin had turned a darker shade. How do you do it? She demanded. Do what? Keep going. You are not even tired. Yuna shrugged. I am tired. But I do not stop because I am tired. That makes no sense. Dawan walked over, drinking water from a metal container. It is how humans evolved, he explained. Long ago, our ancestors hunted by chasing animals. We could not run faster than them, so we ran longer. We followed them for hours, sometimes days, until they collapsed from exhaustion. Our bodies are built for endurance. Reska stared at him. You hunted by making things die of tiredness? Yes, that is terrifying. Dawan nodded. We know. The afternoon brought the real test. Instructor Morath announced a 40-kilometer march through variable gravity zones. Full gear, no brakes. The recruits groaned. 40 kilometers was a long distance for any species. They began at one end of the station and moved through corridors that changed gravity every few hundred meters. Normal gravity. Low gravity that made them float. High gravity that pressed down on them like invisible hands. It was designed to exhaust every muscle in the body. At the 10-kilometer mark, some recruits began to slow. At 20 kilometers, the first ones dropped out. At 25 kilometers, Reska stumbled and nearly fell. Torgan was breathing so hard that each breath sounded like a storm. Yuna and Dawan kept walking. They had found a pace that worked for them. Not too fast, not too slow. Steady, constant, like machines that did not know how to stop. At 30 kilometers, Yuna noticed that most of the other recruits were far behind. She looked at Dawan. We should go back and lose our lead? They need help. Dawan thought about it for a moment. Then he nodded. You are right. They turned around and walked back to find their squad mates. Torgan was barely standing. His massive body was not made for this kind of sustained effort. His species won fights with quick bursts of power, not long marchers. Reska was on her knees, gasping for air. Get up, Yuna said. She grabbed Torgan's arm and put it over her shoulder. We finish together. Leave me, Torgan growled. I am too heavy. Then walk and make yourself lighter. Dawan helped Reska to her feet. Together, the four of them moved forward. Other squads saw what they were doing and started to help their own weak members. Something changed in the air. It was no longer just a competition. It became something else. Something more. They crossed the finish line as the sun set on the purple gas giant outside the station windows. Yuna and Dawan were tired but standing. Torgan collapsed the moment they stopped. Reska sat down and did not get up for 10 minutes. Instructor Morath walked over to them. It held a device that showed their biometrics during the march. The insect's mandibles clicked as it studied the data. Your heart rates, Morath said to Yuna and Dawan. They stayed elevated but stable through the entire march. Your breathing remained controlled. Your bodies produced minimal fatigue toxins. The instructor looked up at them. Your systems simply refused to stop. We call it stubbornness, Yuna said. I call it unnatural. That night, Yuna went to the training coordinator's office. She filed a request to access the orange tier courses for what she called light morning conditioning. The request was denied. She filed another request the next day. Denied again. On the third day, she filed the request and added a note. I completed yellow tier without difficulty. I need harder training to improve. Please advise. The coordinator, a small alien with too many eyes, called her into the office. You cannot be serious, it said. I am always serious about training. The orange tier is dangerous. Recruits have been injured. Some permanently? I understand. You have been here for 1 week, and I have not been challenged yet. The coordinator stared at her with all 7 of its eyes, then made a sound like a sigh and approved her request. Word spread quickly. The human wanted to train on dangerous courses for morning exercise. Some aliens laughed. Some thought she was crazy. A few started to watch her with new interest. Yuna did not care about any of it. She had a goal, and nothing in this galaxy was going to stop her from reaching it. 2 weeks passed. Yuna had completed every orange tier course multiple times. She ran them in the morning before regular training. She ran them in the evening after regular training ended. Sometimes she ran them during meal breaks. When other recruits were eating, the station began to notice. Aliens gathered at viewing screens to watch her train. They made bets on how long she would last. They whispered about the human who treated dangerous courses like casual exercise. Some were impressed. Others thought she was showing off. A few were starting to feel afraid. Doan joined her for some of the runs. His endurance was not quite as high as hers, but he pushed himself to keep up. They developed a rhythm together. 2 humans moving through challenges that broke other species. People are talking about you, Doan said one morning as they finished an obstacle course that involved jumping across platforms over a pit of hot coals. Let them talk. Some of them do not like it. They think you are making them look bad. I am not trying to make anyone look bad, Yuna said. I am trying to make myself better. They do not see it that way. She shrugged. That is their problem. The problem walked up to her that afternoon. It was a Krix officer named Veth. He was taller than Instructor Morath, with sharper mandibles and darker coloring. His species was known throughout the galaxy as elite warriors. They did not like being outshined by a human from a young civilization. Park, Veth said, blocking her path in the corridor. The human who thinks she is special. I do not think I am special, Yuna replied calmly. I just train hard. You train on orange courses like they are games. You complete them faster than recruits who have been here for months. You act like nothing is difficult for you. Some things are difficult. Orange courses are not. Veth's mandibles clicked angrily. If you are so impressive, why not attempt the red tier gauntlet? Behind him, several Krix officers gathered. They were watching, waiting. This was not a friendly challenge. It was a trap. They wanted to see her fail. The red gauntlet is 12 hours of continuous obstacles, Doan said quietly from beside her. Extreme temperatures, low oxygen zones, combat simulations, psychological stress chambers. It is designed to break people. I know what it is, Yuna said. Then you know you should refuse, Veth said. Unless your talk is just talk. Yuna looked at him for a long moment. She thought about what accepting would mean. 12 hours of the hardest training the station had to offer. Pain, exhaustion, the real possibility of injury or death. And at the end, nothing but the satisfaction of proving them wrong. I will do it, she said. Veth's mandibles spread in what might have been a smile. Good. We will enjoy watching you fail. Wait, Yuna said. I want something in return. What? If I complete the red gauntlet, I get access to the black course for personal training. Silence fell over the corridor. Even Do-hwan looked shocked. The black course was lethal. No one had completed it in 12 cycles. Asking for access to it was like asking for permission to commit suicide. You want to train on a lethal course, Veth said slowly. Yes, you are insane. Maybe. Do we have a deal? Veth looked back at his fellow officers. They exchanged glances. Then he turned back to Yuna with something like amusement in his posture. Agreed. When you fail the red gauntlet, we will make sure everyone knows how weak humans truly are. And when I complete it, you will make sure I have access to black. If you complete it, which you will not. Word of the wager spread through the station like fire. By the next morning, everyone knew. Commander Tavik called Yuna to his office and asked if she was sure about what she was doing. She said yes. He studied her with those purple eyes and then reluctantly approved the challenge. The red tier gauntlet was scheduled for 3 days later. Yuna spent those days preparing. She ate carefully, choosing foods that would give her sustained energy. She slept well. She reviewed recordings of previous attempts to learn what she could expect. On the morning of the challenge, she stood at the entrance to the gauntlet as the artificial sun rose over the station. No one was there. Reska and Torgan had come too, though they said nothing. Hundreds of aliens watched from viewing platforms and screens throughout the station. Last chance to back out, Instructor Morith said. The insect did not look happy about any of this. No, Yuna said. The door opened. She walked inside. The first hour was temperature extremes. Rooms that burned with heat, followed by chambers so cold that ice formed on her skin. She kept moving. Her body adjusted. Humans evolved in Africa and spread across the entire Earth, from deserts to frozen mountains. Adaptation was in her blood. The second hour brought combat simulations. Holographic enemies attacked from all angles. She fought them with hands and feet and whatever weapons she could grab. She got hit. She bled. She kept fighting. Hours 3 through 6 were a blur of obstacles. Walls to climb. Rivers to swim. Tunnels to crawl through. Low oxygen zones that made her lungs burn and her vision blur. She did not stop. She could not stop. By hour 8, her body was screaming. Every muscle hurt. Her left leg had been cut by something sharp. Her right arm was burned. But she was still moving, still going forward. Crowds watched in silence. This was not what they expected. They expected her to collapse by hour 4 or 5. They expected to see her carried out on a stretcher. Instead, they saw a human refuse to give up. At hour 11, something strange happened. Yuna started to sing. Her voice was hoarse and broken, but the melody was clear. An old song. A folk song from Korea that her grandmother had taught her when she was a little girl. The words were about mountains and rivers and the strength to keep going when the path was hard. She sang it over and over as she pushed through the final obstacles. The aliens watching did not understand the words, but they understood what they were hearing. It was the sound of someone who would not be defeated. Hour 12 ended. The final door opened. Yuna Park stepped out of the red tier gauntlet. Her clothes were torn. Blood ran down her face from a cut above her eye. She was shaking. She was barely standing, but she was standing. She dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Then she forced herself back up. She looked at Veth, who stood frozen with disbelief. "Schedule me for the black course," Yuna said. Her voice was like broken glass. Tuesdays and Thursdays work best. The station erupted. Torgan roared so loud that the walls shook. Reska made a sound that might have been a cheer. Aliens who had bet against her stared in shock. Do-hwan walked up beside her as medical staff rushed forward. He looked at her with something between concern and admiration. "What are your people made of?" Torgan asked him quietly. Do-hwan smiled. "Spite, mostly." Yuna was taken to the medical bay. She had 3 broken ribs, second-degree burns on her arm, cuts and bruises everywhere. The doctor said she needed a week of rest. She was back in training in 3 days. The Black Horse was waiting for her, and she intended to conquer it. The Black Horse sat at the far end of the station, separated from everything else by thick walls and warning signs. The entrance was marked with symbols in a dozen languages, all saying the same thing: death awaits inside. Yuna stood before it for the first time on a quiet Tuesday morning. No crowds this time. Regulations required that anyone attempting the Black Horse must do so alone. No partners, no support. Just one person against the deadliest challenge the galaxy had to offer. She pressed her hand to the entry panel. A mechanical voice spoke. Warning. This course is rated lethal. Fatality rate is 73%. Do you wish to continue? Yes, she said. The door opened. Inside, the air was different. Heavier. The lights were dim red, giving everything the color of blood. Yuna moved forward carefully. She had studied the course layout, but she knew the real thing would be worse than any recording. The first section tested gravity. Zones shifted without warning. One moment she walked normally. The next, she was pressed flat to the ground by force that felt like a giant hand pushing down on her. Then the gravity reversed and she flew upward, barely catching herself before she hit the ceiling. She made it through the gravity section. Her body ached, but she kept moving. The second section was thermal. Not like the red gauntlet, worse. Much worse. The heat in some rooms was enough to cook meat. The cold in others was enough to freeze blood. She ran through them as fast as she could, feeling her skin burn and freeze in turns. The third section was combat. But these were not holographic enemies. They were drones with real weapons. They shot stun bolts that felt like fire. They had blades that cut through her uniform and into her flesh. She fought them with everything she had, breaking 3 before the 4th one caught her with a blade across her side. She reached the 4th section, the psychological chamber. The room scanned her mind and found her fears. It showed her Earth burning, her family screaming, everyone she loved dying while she could do nothing. She closed her eyes and kept walking. The visions followed her, whispering terrible things. Then came the final section. A long corridor with shifting floors and random plasma bursts. The oxygen was thin. Each breath felt like trying to breathe through water. She was 60% through when a gravity trap caught her. The floor opened and she fell into a chamber, where gravity pulled in all directions at once. Her ribs cracked. Pain exploded through her body. She screamed, but no one could hear her. She found a way to crawl out. Somehow, she did not know how she made it to 65% before she collapsed. The medical team found her unconscious near a pool of her own blood. They carried her out and worked for 3 hours to save her life. When she woke up in the medical bay, Dohwan was sitting beside her. 3 broken ribs, he said. Internal bruising. Multiple cuts and burns. You almost died. But I did not die, she said. That is not a victory, Yuna. 65%. That is further than anyone has gotten in years. She tried to sit up and pain shot through her body. Next time I will do better. There should not be a next time. She looked at him with eyes that had no quit in them. There will be. 3 days later, against every doctor's orders, she was back at the Black Horse entrance. The mechanical voice gave its warning. She said yes again. Second attempt. She knew the gravity section now. She moved through it faster. She knew the thermal section and paced herself better. She fought the combat drones with new strategies, breaking 4 of them before getting hit. This time she made it to 75%. The plasma grid in the final corridor caught her arm. Burned so bad she could see bone. The oxygen dropped too low, and she passed out before she could reach the end. Another trip to the medical bay. Another lecture from the doctors. Another promise that she would try again. Do-hwan found her in the training room 2 days after her second attempt. She was lifting weights, even though her arm was still bandaged. "You were going to die in there," he said. She did not look at him. "Maybe. Is it worth it? Is proving something to these aliens worth your life?" She put down the weight and finally turned to face him. "It is not about proving something to them. It is about Earth, about humanity. We are new to this galaxy. We have no reputation, no respect. Other species look at us and see nothing. So I volunteered to change that. I did not come here to survive. I came here to show them what humans can do. To open doors for every human who comes after me. If I die trying, at least I died fighting for something." Do-hwan was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Then I will train harder too. You will not be the only one." Something passed between them. An understanding. A shared purpose. The third attempt came a week later. Yuna had spent the time studying. Not just training her body, but learning the course. Every trap. Every pattern. Every way the course tried to kill people. She treated it like a puzzle now, not just a test of endurance. Third attempt, 80%. She fell to a combination of combat drones and the psychological chamber. The visions got inside her head, and she hesitated for 1 second too long. A drone blade found her leg. Medical bay again. But this time, she was smiling when she woke up. 80%, she said. "You are insane," Reska said. The Veloci had come to visit her. Torgan stood behind her, barely fitting through the door. "I know." Fourth attempt. 90%. The final corridor stopped her. She was so close to the end that she could see the finish platform. But her body gave out. Too much blood loss. Not enough oxygen. She collapsed 10 meters from victory. When she recovered, Commander Tavik called her to his office. The four-armed alien looked at her with an expression she had never seen before. Something like respect mixed with concern. "You have attempted the black course 4 times, Tavik said. "You have survived 4 times. That alone is a record. I will complete it. Perhaps, but I must tell you something." He leaned forward. "That course was designed by the Cricks over 30 years ago. It was never meant to be completed. It was built as a final filter, a way to eliminate anyone who was not absolutely perfect. The fatality rate is not a bug. It is a feature." "What are you saying?" "I am saying that the course is designed to kill everyone who enters it. The fact that you have survived this many attempts means you have already done something thought to be impossible." Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. If it was never meant to be completed, then they should not have called it a course. Courses have endings. I will find it. Tavik shook his head slowly. "You humans are something else." "Yes," she said. "We are." That night, she told Do-hwan, Reska, and Torgan her plan. 5th attempt. Final attempt. She would complete the course or die trying. They wanted to talk her out of it. They tried, but they saw the look in her eyes and knew that nothing would change her mind. Do-hwan had been training on red-tier courses in secret. Reska had started pushing herself harder in every session. Even Torgan, who relied on strength over endurance, had begun running longer distances. "You inspired us," Reska admitted. "I did not think humans were worth anything when you arrived. I was wrong. If you complete that course," Torgan rumbled, "I will carry you out on my shoulders." Yuna laughed. "I will hold you to that." The 5th attempt was scheduled for the next morning. Yuna spent the night in her pod, not sleeping. She thought about Earth, about her family, about every person who had ever told her she could not do something. She thought about every human who would come to this station after her, hoping for a chance to prove themselves. Tomorrow she would give them that chance, or she would die trying. The morning of the 5th attempt came with silence. No alarms, no announcements. Just Unipark walking through the dark corridors of Station Omega 7 toward a door that had killed so many before her, but she was not alone. When she reached the entrance to the black course, she found them waiting. Dohan stood closest, his face calm but his eyes full of something she could not name. Reska was there, blue skin pale in the dim light. Torgan loomed behind them, massive arms crossed over his chest. They wore bands around their arms with writing on them. Yuna looked closer and recognized Korean characters. They were not written perfectly, but she could read them. "Fighting," she read aloud. "Dowan taught us," Reska said. "He said it is something humans say to encourage each other. Is it right?" Yuna felt something warm in her chest. "It is right." More figures emerged from the shadows. Other recruits she had trained with. Species she had never spoken to. They filled the corridor, dozens of them, all come to watch the human attempt the impossible one final time. Instructor Morath walked through the crowd. The crick stopped in front of Yuna and was silent for a long moment. Then it raised one clawed hand to its head in a salute. "I called you weak when you arrived," Morath said. "I told you that you would die in yellow tier training. You have proven me wrong at every step. Whatever happens today, you have earned my respect. That is not something I give easily." "Thank you," Yuna said. She turned to face the door. The mechanical voice gave its warning. She said yes. The door opened. She did not look back. She walked inside. First section, gravity wells. She knew them now. Her body knew them. She moved through the shifting zones like water flowing around rocks. Up, down, sideways. Her muscles remembered every adjustment. In 12 minutes, she was through. Second section, thermal extremes, fire and ice. She had trained for this. She had burned and frozen so many times that her skin knew what to expect. She did not slow down. She did not hesitate. 15 minutes. Third section, combat drones. They came at her from every direction. This time, she did not fight like a soldier. She fought like an animal, dirty, fast, using the environment against them, throwing debris at their sensors, leading them into each other. She took hits. She bled, but she broke every drone that came at her and kept moving. 22 minutes. Fourth section, psychological chamber. The room scanned her mind and found her fears again. Earth burning, her family dying. But this time, she was ready. She closed her eyes and recited names. Dohwan, Reska, Torgan, Instructor Morath, Commander Tavik, every recruit who came to watch her, every human who would come after her. "You cannot break me," she said to the empty room. "I know who I am fighting for." The visions faded. The door opened. She walked through. 5th section, the final sprint. 3 kilometers of hell. The floor shifted under her feet. Plasma bursts fired randomly. The oxygen dropped lower and lower with every meter. This was where she had failed before. This was where the course had beaten her 4 times. Not this time. Yuna ran. Her legs screamed. Her lungs burned. Blood ran down her side from where a drone blade had caught her. She could feel her body trying to shut down, begging her to stop. She did not stop. At the 2-kilometer mark, her legs buckled. She fell hard to the metal floor. For a moment, she could not move. Her body had nothing left to give, but her mind was still working. She crawled. Hand over hand, knee over knee, she dragged herself forward through the plasma fire and the thin air. The floor shifted and tried to throw her off. She grabbed onto anything she could find, and pulled herself forward. At 2.5 kilometers, her arms gave out. She could not crawl anymore, so she used her fingers, digging into the grooves in the floor, pulling herself centimeter by centimeter toward the finish. At 2.9 kilometers, the oxygen dropped to almost nothing. Her vision went black. The last thing she saw was the finish platform, glowing white in the distance. So close, so impossibly close. Everything went dark. She woke up on the floor. The timer was still running. Red numbers floating in the air above her head, counting every second. She was 10 meters from the end, 10 meters from victory. Yuna did not know how, but she stood up. Her body was beyond pain now. Everything was numb. She could not feel her legs. She could not feel her hands. But she could see that platform. She walked. One step, another. Her legs moved like they belonged to someone else. The platform grew closer, 5 meters. The plasma bursts intensified. The floor tried one last time to throw her down. She stayed standing. 3 meters. Her vision blurred. She could hear something. A roaring sound. Was it in her head? Was the station falling apart? 1 meter. She reached out her hand. She touched the completion pad. The timer stopped. 11 hours, 47 minutes, 23 seconds. For a moment, nothing happened. Then alarms began to ring throughout the station. Not danger alarms. Completion alarms. For the first time in 30 years, someone had finished the black course. Yuna Park fell to the ground and did not move. The medical team found her 3 minutes later. Her heart had stopped twice on the way to the medical bay. They brought her back both times. She had broken bones in places she did not know had bones. Burns covered 40% of her body. She had lost so much blood that they were amazed she was still alive. But she was alive. When she finally woke up, 3 days later, she found the medical bay filled with flowers. Not Earth flowers. Strange alien plants from 100 different worlds. Gifts from species she had never met. Dohwan sat beside her bed, as he always did. "You did it," he said. "I know." Her voice was barely a whisper. The whole station watched. The whole galaxy is talking about it now. First completion of the black course in 3 decades. By a human. Commander Tadek arrived an hour later. He stood at attention, all 4 arms at his sides. "On behalf of the Galactic Coalition Forces, I officially recommend you for the Pathfinder program with highest honors. You have earned it in a way that no one has earned it before." "Thank you," Yuna said. "There's something else." Tavik's purple eyes were warm. "Your actions have changed how the galaxy sees humanity. Before you arrived, your species was seen as young, inexperienced, weak. Now they see something different. They see endurance. They see strength. They see people who refuse to give up no matter what." Instructor Morath visited her that evening. The Crick stood awkwardly beside her bed, mandibles clicking softly. "I have trained thousands of recruits," Morath said. "I have seen the best warriors in the galaxy pass through these halls. But I have never seen anything like you. Humans are not weak. You are something we have never encountered before. Something we do not fully understand. What is that?" Yuna asked. "You do not know how to stay down." Yuna smiled despite the pain. "We know how. We just choose not to." 3 months later, Yuna led her first Pathfinder squad on their first mission. Dohwan was her second in command. Reska handled communications. Torgan was their heavy weapons specialist. A mixed species team, working together as one. Their call sign was endurance. The mission was dangerous. The mission was hard. But they completed it, just as Yuna had completed the course that was never meant to be completed. Back at Station Omega 7, a new group of recruits arrived. They gathered in Orientation Hall 7, just as Yuna had done months before. A young alien raised its hand and asked about the black course. Instructor Morath was silent for a moment. Then the Crix made a sound that might have been a laugh. "The black course is rated lethal," Morath said. "It was designed to kill everyone who entered it. No one was meant to complete it." The instructor paused. "But once, a human used it as conditioning. Let me tell you about Pathfinder Park." The young recruits listened with wide eyes as Morath told the story. The story of a human who refused to give up, who fell down again and again and got back up every single time, who showed the entire galaxy what humanity could do. Far away, on a distant world, Unipark looked up at unfamiliar stars. She thought about everyone who would come after her, every human who would walk through those academy doors. Every one of them would have a chance now because she had made a path. She smiled and got back to work. There was always more training to do.